Hello all, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn ServiceNow Platform. I hope you all are well. This side Prakhar Chaube. Today I will try to cover the basic authentication restriction topic. And why I am covering this topic because ServiceNow recently launched the SNC Basic Auth API access role. And this role was launched by ServiceNow in June 2026 as a part of the update that restrict insecure basic authentication API access part. And in this, I will try to cover the what is the meaning of the basic authentication restriction, how to identify the impacted user, and how to proceed this. Agenda of this topic, I will try to cover the 3 point. First one, basic authentication restriction, properties, and basic auth exception. And now if you can see this image that I attached in the slide, this is what that we are receiving alert now. If you can see at the top banner, action required, review basic authentication account security. So why the service now does this changes and what will it impact? So all this point we will cover in this video. First of all, we need to understand about what is basic authentication restriction in ServiceNow. So basic authentication restriction is a security feature introduced by ServiceNow to control and eventually reduce the use of basic authentication that is called username and password for API access. So basically basic authentication is used in inbound integration action part where we need to create a user credential means username and password, and then we need to share the credential with the third party tool or third party team. So with the help of the credential configuration, and also we required to share the API to the third party. So as per the configuration part of the third party, that guys need to be configure the API and the credential, and then they will start to sending a call or sending a transaction from third party to the service now. So in the inbound, these guys are using a basic auth credential, okay? And again, this is not the best practice as per the current era because ServiceNow already launched or already we have the auth 2.0 that is more secure, or the MFA authentication we have. So these all items that already we have in ServiceNow, that's the reason this basic authentication is not the highly secure. So that's the reason ServiceNow launched the new module that is called basic auth restriction. Why ServiceNow making these changes? So basic authentication send username and password with every API request. If credentials are exposed or compromised, attack can bypass MFA protection and execute automated login attempt against APIs that we can consider under the UI login item. Okay, so if we share the if we share the credential of the basic auth to the third party, that could be chance they can log in our UI page directly. So that could be the cause of the high security alert. Okay, one more thing, we already aware about that. We have a web access service attribute item where we can set as a true for that particular account, and once we put that the web access service as a true, from that time user cannot be logged our instance as a UI interface. Okay, so that functionality is already available, but again, ServiceNow day by day providing a too much awareness about the security part. That's the reason this module is recently launched here. Now you can see this module name, that is basic auth or restriction. Under this we have a two item. One is basic auth user exception and second one is properties. So first let's talk about the property part. So in the property, what property does basically? So if you can try to read the each line, your point will be too much clear about this properties. What property does? So to improve the security of this instance, a security update will change basic authentication configuration for a certain account. Means for each basic authentication credential item that we can apply some decision. So this changes will take effect as explained in KB article. So you can also follow this KB article. So now let's talk about the take action item. So in this, we have one table that is identified user table, and this is called the basic auth restrict table, where we can apply the exceptional approval for the each basic auth credential. And on that part, we can define the decision individually for each account. If you want to continue to allow an account to use basic authentication, then set it decision to one of the following. And we can say that four decision we have in this, where we can apply the condition or we can apply the decision for individual basic authentication credential. So first one, maintain certain login part. In this basic auth API and UI login allowed means both item is allowed. Basic authentication credential part accessibility is also allowed, and the UI path of the login credential policy is also allowed. Revoke the basic auth API login means we are revoking or we are blocking a API login part, but still we are allowing the UI login allowed. But this is not the best practice or as recommended by ServiceNow. Third, convert to web service access only account means we can convert the our basic auth credential as a machine. Okay, and now we also have the one more attribute that we can call as a identify type. Okay, so in the identify type we have the two three option. As first of all, you can choose as a human or the machine. Okay, so once you set the your user credential as a machine, your web service access will automatically enable. Okay, and this property and this decision also does the same thing. And fourth one, apply default from system properties. Okay, means whatever you are going to define the by default decision for this property, entire property, that will automatically apply for a new basic auth credential item. Okay, and now how enforcement work. So once as enforcement is enabled, then basic authentication requests are blocked unless the requesting account match one of the following decision. Okay, first one, account having a web service access only. Second, account presenting a valid MFA one-time password, and last, account having the SNC basic auth API access rule. This is a new rule that recently launched by ServiceNow. So this role is must needed for each basic auth credential. Otherwise, your basic authentication will fail, and it could be the chance of your transaction of the integration will also fail. And the now last point, default value applied to a new row of this basic auth exception table during the tracking record or tracking period. So in this, you need to define the decision. Okay, this is the decision maker point, and you can define the decision as per the by default part of this property. And now this is a feature that toggle for the basic authentication restriction feature on this instance. So if you set as a yes, then this property is enabled and under the tracking but not the blocking, because you need to enable this control whether enforcement is active also set as a true or set as a yes. Okay, otherwise this property is enabled but again under still the tracking part, not the blocking way. Okay, so if you want to enabling the blocking or enforcement policy, then you need to set this part as a yes. And all this part I will try to show you on my personal PDI that how this property work. But before going on that part, let's try to understand the role item. So role, what does SNC basic auth API access do in ServiceNow? So SNC basic auth API access is a special exception role introduced by ServiceNow basic authentication restriction features. In this, we are providing some exceptional approval or exceptional role to bypass the strict enforcement, ensuring your automation script and external tool can successfully logged in. And after enabling this property, and if you didn't define the or if you didn't tag this role to your basic auth credential, then your integration will be impacted and it will stop at the same time immediately. How to assign or review this role? So basically, you have the module that is basic auth restriction. Under this, we have the basic auth user exception. Now you can see this form that I already attached as a snip. So first one is a user attribute. Here you need to add the user. Okay, first of all, you need to identify the basic auth credential, and then you need to add it here, and then on the right side you have decision part. Under this you have a four decision that we already discussed in the previous slide. You need to define the decision properly with each individual basic auth credential. And the action taken part, you can also execute this property at the same time when you are planning to configure this item. Okay, or you can also schedule this property as per the schedule job. So first of all, let's again try to understand this basic auth exception and why I am describing or briefing all this point, because before going to the configuration part, you also have the proper understanding about this all activity and this all item. Basic auth exception is a table used by the basic authentication restriction features to maintain a list of user accounts that have been reviewed and assign a decision regarding basic authentication access. First of all, the table name called sys underscore user underscore basic underscore auth underscore exception. In this, we are providing an exceptional for a particular basic auth credential. What attribute we have in this? First, user, decision, last in source. And now let's talk about the decision part. So under decision, we have four options. First one is maintain current login. That is, we are allowing a basic auth API and the UI login allowed. Second, revoke basic auth API login. It means basic auth API login is blocked, but the UI login is allowed. That is human behavior. Third, convert to web service access only account. That is basic auth API login allowed, but UI login blocked. That is machine behavior, machine type. Fourth, apply default from system. Means whatever you are planning to apply on the properties as a decision, that will take as a by default. And how we will configure all this activity, then now I will try to show you on my personal PDI. And this is my personal PDI. Now let's try to open this module. Basic auth restriction. Under this we have basic auth user exception and properties. First let's open the property part. And as we already highlighted the features of this property, that what property does. So now you just click on the identified user table, and now you can see basic auth exception. Okay, under this we need to define the proper basic auth credential, and we can make it the exceptional for that with the help of the decision. Now you can see the new button is not available. Then how we can enable this part? So first of all, you need to elevate your role as a security admin first. Click to update, and now go back and refresh this page. Now you can see the both button is available. Extend tracking by 14 days, and second one is new button. So click to the new button, and you need to understand your profile, that which profile you are providing as a basic auth, or which profile you already configured as a basic auth. Suppose let me add the one profile, integration user. Okay, and now here we have decision. What decision are you looking to choose in this? Okay, so for each credential you can define your own decision part, and whatever the decision is already defined at the property side, it will not applicable if you are selecting any specific decision for individual account. Okay, but if you select as apply default from system property, then it will take it whatever you define here on the property. But if you're selecting as some individual item, then this property of the decision maker will not help. So here, if you need to define the individual decision for each property, for each basic auth, then you can define it properly. Otherwise, you can also set as a apply default from system property. It will automatically take from this property whatever you decided in this property. So now let's select something. Suppose let me put this convert to web access service only. Okay. And now let me open this item and show one thing. Currently, this property is set as a human type. Okay. And now what I am assuming, this property currently I am using for a basic auth. So that's the reason I need to apply this basic auth credential with this basic auth exception. Okay. So I am now planning to apply this restriction on this part. So in future, this user credential will not block. Just click to save. And now currently I'm choosing the decision, this one, convert to web service access only. Okay. And now this time action taken is as a false because I didn't applied any action item here. Okay. Now we have one button where we can click on the execute decision, and this decision will applied for this item. Okay. And now if you can see, no role is tagged for now. Okay. But when I clicked here, and now let's see the result. Just click to execute decision. Now you can see you will get some alert. This will convert the user to the web access service only, and this will enable to make UI login. Okay, but basic auth will continue to work for this account. No role will be assigned. Are you sure you want to convert this to a web service access only? Yes, I want to convert this because this credential I'm using as a basic auth, not as a human type. Okay, so that's the reason I want to convert this credential as a basic auth. So click to convert user, and now action taken as a set true. And now let's see the result. Now refresh this page, and now you can see this type of the machine will automatically applied here. Okay, now one more refresh. Yeah. So the type of the machine is automatically applied. Okay, but again, this will not help much more because after enabling this part, you need to tag the role. Essentially basic auth. And now once you applied or once you tag this role with this profile, then it will start to allowing the basic auth for this particular credential. Means your integration will not block. Otherwise, once you applied this credential, once you applied this decision for this particular credential, it will automatically blocked if this role is not tagged with this profile. Okay, so this role is just working as an exceptional approval for the each individual basic auth credential. And now you can see the identity type is converted as a machine now. And now let's create some few more item. Now add this different user account, and now I want to choose the first option. Okay, maintain the current login basic auth API and the UI login both. Just click to save, and now let's open this account. Now you can see there is no role is tagged and type is a human. Okay, so for now what this decision does basically, this will allow the both part, means basic auth and the UI login both. Okay, so now let's execute the decision. Now you can see this will grant the since SNC basic auth API access role to this user, allowing their basic auth access to continue when enforcement begins. Okay, so are you sure you want to grant the basic auth access role to this user? If you are sure that this credential is still we are using for a basic auth, for that you need to set as a grant role. And now let's refresh this, and now you can see this automatically added here because according to this property, we are allowing the both item, human behavior or the machine type both. So for machine type means you need to apply this role or you need to tag this role with the particular credential. So your API accessibility will still allowed. Otherwise, if this role is not tagged, so you cannot access this instance via API. Please note down. Now let's take the next decision part. Click to create new and add some different user account. And now let's try to add the different decision. Just click to save. And what this decision does, okay, so in this we have the option that revoke basic auth API login. Means if you want to disable the basic auth credential for this account, then you can apply it means previously you guys was using this account as a basic auth, but now this time you want to disable this part. Okay, so you can apply this decision for this account and just click to execute decision. And now what you can see this message: this user will not be granted the SNC basic auth API access role. Their basic auth access will fail when enforcement begin. Are you sure you want to deny this basic auth access for this user? Yes, click to OK. Because I do not need this basic auth. And now the last option, we have the by default. Click to new, select different account, no role, and now select the this one, apply default from system property. Click to save here and now click to open new record this user profile. Now this is again human behavior, okay, and no role is tagged now. So according to this property, let me close this and now this one. So now I state this property is as a by default, okay, and in the by default what we already configured, that is called convert to web service access only account. It means once I am applying this property or we are executing this decision, this user account will automatically turn as a machine. So now let's see this. Click to execute decision and the same message. The user basic grant will be granted or denied based on the decision configured as a global properties, as you can see. So are you sure you want to confirm? Yes, I want to proceed it. Go back and now you can see this will automatically convert it as a machine. And why this property and why this credential converted as a machine? Because in this property by default I define this option, and in this we already set as a enforcement yes. That's the reason it will reflect in here. So this is the way that how you can configure your basic auth exception for each individual account. Okay, and now let's talk about this enforcement schedule job. So in this how it's working this enforcement schedule job. So in this, if you can see, we have a next action item time. Okay, means whatever the credential is configured on this table, whatever the credential is configured on this table, it will automatically take the all credential and it will convert the action taken item as a false to true. Because and this will be working as a based on the next action item. Okay, so this will automatically start to working. And now current, suppose if I set this property as a false, now I'm putting this enforcement action item as a false and click to refresh this, and now this is disabled. Okay, and now let's try to just I want to check a time of the current according to this system profile. So now I just want to check the time frame as per the current time. Okay, so click to just post it and let's see what time is showing. Okay, its time is 7:62 p.m. around. Okay, sorry, 2 a.m. Okay, now let's try to convert this property and now let's set the timing. So 7 and put as a 2 p.m. but let me put as a 2 okay, and just click to save. Just I want to show you that how this part will be executed. Okay, and now if I can go to the cursor here, now you can see the about a minute from now. Okay, let me put the some post and what time is showing here, 2:1:39 second. Okay, it means the still few seconds is left, and now currently this property is a no, it's still showing no. Okay, and now let's execute this property and let's see this property will turn as a yes or not. Enforcement part basically. So now it's 2:1:59. I hope the time is completed 2 as per our scheduled time frame. Yes, this is done. And now go back here on the proper on the schedule part, and this part is already done. Now let's refresh this page. And now you can see the next action time is automatically scheduled. Okay, and go back on this property, just refresh this page. Now you can see it is automatically turned as a yes. It means according to this scheduled job, whatever the time frame is set, okay, based on that, this property will automatically enforcement will turn as a true. Okay, so this part you need to understand. Okay, otherwise, suppose if you are unable to understand this job and based on the time frame, the property will be this scheduled job will be executed and your property will become as a control enforcement part as a true. And if you didn't identify your basic auth credential from that time, your integration start to failing. Okay, so before completing this time frame, you need to identify at your end and you need to apply the decision as soon as possible. Otherwise, you have one option where you can extend the time. Okay, now you can see we have the extended tracking by 14 days. Okay, so if you just click here and now let's see this part. Just I click to extend it and now this time now currently showing 8. Okay, 8 6. Now refresh this page. Now it will start automatically showing 21, means 14 days from now. So it will automatically change. So you can also update from this schedule job auto as a manually, or you can also extend this part here, okay, with the help of this UI action button. So it's up to you. But again, whatever the next action time frame is available within your current time frame, you need to set the decision and you need to apply the decision as soon as possible. Otherwise, it could be chance of your transaction will start to blocking of a particular integration part if you already configured and unable to identify that. And one of the most important thing, this item will not automatically defined or automatically created by ServiceNow. Okay, so anyhow you need to apply this part manually. You need to decide your credential manually. If you think about this particular credential I am using for a basic auth for a particular integration part, that item you need to create, you need to define it on this basic auth exception part. Okay, so this is the way that how we can provide some exceptional approval basically for a particular basic auth credential. If this role is not tagged, then your integration will start to blocking and definitely the result will fail. Okay, so before enabling this enforcement activity item, you need to provide this role with that profile, or you need to define the properly under this particular table. Okay, otherwise it could be chance of the impact of your instance. I hope you learn from this video and like it. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. This will definitely boost me to upload the more video. Bye bye. Thank you. Take care.